So with that, we are going to bring up our first company, which is Desti from Menlo Park. If you'd like to make your way up here. Calling themselves the smartest travel guide for the iPad. So we have 5 minutes right here. At the 30-second mark, I will stand up and come over to your side so that we will stop right at 5 minutes. That will begin when you start.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nadav Gur, founder and CEO of Desti, the intelligent travel planner. Online travel, such a big market, $300+ billion and growing, built over the last 15 years, layer on top of layer. Service providers, distribution systems, online travel agents, and for the last few years, meta search companies sitting on top of all of that. Kayak, TripAdvisor, Google, Trivago, getting a lot of money and still providing us with a pretty poor user experience. We jump from site to site, from list to list, we validate results. Can such a big industry provide us with a better user experience? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what Desti does. Desti's first product is an iPad application that searches for travel and finds the thing exactly as you ask for. For instance, I can ask Desti something like, I'm going to San Diego and I need a place to stay. I want a romantic place with a spa and my budget is $300 a night. Desti will fully understand this. It will sift through hundreds of places using artificial intelligence to find the best matches and to explain to me why these are such good matches. I can continue the conversation. I can say, yeah, but we're also thinking of bringing a dog along. Desti will understand that I want everything I asked for, plus a pet-friendly place, find such places, and provide them to me. Desti will even read consumer reviews for you. Desti understands natural language, not just when I speak, but also when it finds it on the internet. It reads through thousands of reviews and summarizes them and tells me what's in them, such that I don't have to do it. I can search Desti for hotels, attractions, activities, restaurants. I can put everything I find in a trip plan, save it right in Desti for further planning and use when I'm traveling. Or I can share this with my friends, family, co-travelers to get tips, advice, and to co-plan. We're in the business of helping travelers ultimately make purchasing choices. The comparable company, Kayak, helps you search for flights. They do a good job with a product that really has just 3 dimensions: schedule, price, and airline. Desti excels with hotels, attractions, activities, products that have many, many dimensions. They're different, they're special, each one is different. It's a very hard search problem. When we help a customer make a decision with a hotel booking, for instance, the commission we get as an affiliate is $50 to $150. That's much, much higher than the commission on, say, a flight booking, and therefore a very scalable business. How do we do it? This is a complicated slide. Let me run you through it. So first of all, the way to think of it is to think about an expert travel agent or an expert concierge. The first thing you want that person to have is very deep knowledge of the destinations. What Desti does is it collects information from thousands of websites, cross-references it, but most importantly, understands it the way you will. Desti reads natural language in order to build a very deep and detailed profile of every place, every hotel, attraction, activity. When you have such a deep knowledge base, the best way to let people really explore it is to let them go free, use natural language. We use a platform that allows us to search using natural language, but to also have a conversation, to refine, to pivot, to speak with the system or type into the system in context. And if you know what your customer is looking for, and you have all of this knowledge about the destination, what's left to do is make smart matches. Desti takes into account the context and what you ask for it and everything it knows, and provides the best suggestions. Desti solves a tough technological problem. And we do it as an SRI spin-out, which means we have access to the brains and the technology that enabled companies like Siri and Nuance. We're a team of established entrepreneurs in the travel space. My former company, WorldMate, was acquired by Carlson Wagonlit, the world's biggest travel management company. My co-founders started Planner.com that Desti has acquired. And together with a team of engineers and marketers, we have raised $2.5 million from Horizons Ventures and Carmel Ventures, backers of companies like Facebook, Siri, and Spotify. And we have built a product that is now in public beta in only a few states and is already ranking high in the iPad travel app store. So I invite you to try it, and I would love to hear your questions.
Thank you very much. It's always a little intimidating when I come up behind people. They start looking over their shoulder. Bob, start with you. Initial thoughts.
That's a great list there. California, Nevada, Utah, and Austin, Texas.
That's especially for us here, right?
Yes. And do you speak languages other than English?
No, we started with English, and we started with the US, and that's our first goal. And then we will expand to other countries, and we'll incorporate additional languages.
Would the word y'all throw you off?
We should try it. If we had enough queries from Austin already, probably, Desti has already learned the word y'all.
And how much have you raised already?
So we raised 2.5 from Horizons Ventures, backers of companies like Facebook and Spotify, and from Carmel Ventures, an Israeli VC. We actually have an engineering office in Tel Aviv, so it always helps to also have a local VC.
Thank you.
And where I'm from, it's Ewins, not y'all, so you need both of those.
Okay.
Kristen?
So I think my first question is, you talked a lot about an advantage around the technology and the heuristics as versus you guys are great designers. So my question is, why is this an iPad app as versus being a web browser-based app?
That's a great question. So we made the decision to go after the iPad first, really for two reasons. One is product philosophy. We believe people like to plan trips when they're on their sofa rather than in front of their desk. This is experiential content. You experience the destination, you experience the place, and you decide to go there. The other reason is a straight marketing reason. You know, one of the big problems that we're actually solving is that on the internet, everything that has to do with travel starts with Google, and those keywords are very badly rigged. I mean, Google makes literally $2 to $2.5 billion a year from travel advertisement. That means that when you try to research a hotel, for instance, you'll put in the name and you'll get the hotel's website and the list of the following sites: TripAdvisor, Hotels.com, Expedia, Orbit, and so on and so forth. So you can absolutely not get to the right content. The same thing happens when you launch a travel company. I have to compete with all those big spenders on the web. So we decided to first go after the App Store, where it's much more about the quality of the app, the quality of the experience, and much less rigged by these companies spending heavily on advertising on Google and so on.
So what will you do if your tiny slice off of Google, you find out that actually that would have been bigger than what you can get as if you find out that as an app, destination app that you have to get a download for, if you find out that you can't get as many users that way as you could with that tiny, tiny slice from Google's huge funnel, like, will you switch to the web? Like, how are you thinking?
So first of all, I mean, we already have numbers, and the numbers speak for themselves. It's not a question of switching. Desti is a platform. It's really a search and planning platform. The first front end is the iPad. We're going to introduce an iPhone version and a smartphone version. By the way, around slightly different use cases. Around more into in-trip and what do we do now, we're already there, and obviously a web version. The decision to go iPad first is because we're a seed startup and we can't do everything at the same time.
How many people on your team?
We have 10 people, 6 of them in Israel, 4 of them here in the US, headquartered in Menlo Park. And we have some rock star scientists as well as good designers and marketers.
Are you taking your data input via API or by scraping?
Both. We have APIs for a lot of the big aggregators, and then we also read a lot of the businesses' own websites, and we put all that information in one place. We understand it using those natural language understanding techniques that I mentioned before, and we create our own, if you will, PY database or database of places and our understanding of them.
Are you providing hooks now into Siri or vice versa?
Sorry?
Are you providing hooks into Siri so people can access your stuff via Siri, or how does that work?
That's actually, did you read my blog post last week or something? So Siri is a closed platform for now. If you ask me, I think they should become a platform and allow people to plug in. It's not easy, but I think it will be a rockstar thing. We can't integrate into Siri. We are integrated into Apple's voice recognition, or so with the button, you can speak into it instead of typing or choosing.
Thank you.
Hey, Adav. First off, thank you for addressing a problem, because whenever I search for anything in travel right now, it is just junk. So applying tech to the space is exciting to me. But I'm struggling to understand how you actually build a big enough audience just through apps. The clutter in the App Store right now is a real problem. It's really hard to break through. So that's question one. Question two is I'm trying to understand your rollout. So I understand you want to prove the tech, but how quickly do you can actually start to make this not geographically limited?
Two great questions. So first of all, two great questions, and I think I almost forgot the first one. So let's talk about the App Store first. So what we're trying to do, it's an interesting question, is a little different than what travel companies typically do. The way travel companies operate, some of these brands I've mentioned, is they don't truly acquire users. They acquire a transaction. They put money into advertising. They find a customer with a purchasing intent, typically on Google, get them into the site. They pay a lot of money for that, and then they try to convert at a profitable rate. That's what they do. What we have decided to do is build a service that you will use not just when you're planning your trip to Hawaii, but also when you're just trying to find something cool to do this weekend with the kids or with your girlfriend or whoever you are. So something that gets used often. This is why we decided to also start locally, to your second question. And what we're trying to do is use the mobile platform as a way to get the users engaged. A lot of the social functionality is also around getting user engaged, getting the users coming into the app every week, just finding stuff to do on the weekend, and getting them in the habit of using Desti to search or to qualify things that they're going to travel to. Now, the truth is that some of the top companies in the top 10 on the travel app store have many millions of downloads of their apps, and if we can get many millions of downloads and make those users loyal, then we've got it made. Having said that, as mentioned, it's not just about mobile devices, it's not just about app stores. Ultimately, we want to be a multi-billion-dollar company, and of course, we'll have to invest in marketing, except that we want to invest in user acquisition instead of just transaction acquisition. Now, with regards to your locality and growth thing, so as mentioned, the idea is to start helping users around where they are locally. Now, if you're a travel company and you have content in a destination, typically you care about tourists. If you give them the top 20, top 50 things, they're done, right? That's what they'll typically do. If you want to help locals, those are the last places they're interested in. They've already been there. They're interested in the long tail. They're interested in having much more diversity of where they can go and what they can find. So that requires much, much more dense content. From that perspective, we're a little more like local search than travel search. We're somewhere between a Yelp and a TripAdvisor, if you will. To show that we can do it, to hone the machine, if you will, we launched initially only in Northern California. That was 3 months ago. Since then, we've expanded to the rest of California, Utah, Nevada, and we actually have quite a few more states and destinations that we're going to roll out in the literally coming weeks. So it's really sped up quickly now. With regards to marketing strategy, we've actually seen companies like Hotel Tonight doing very well with destination by destination launches. So we think it also works from that perspective.
How do you fight? There's lots of people in this space. What do you have that keeps somebody else from doing this? If you're using APIs and scraping data.
We have relevance. So this, if you don't mind, I'll go a little philosophical. This is the search problem, right? And the problem with search, especially in this space, as John has suggested, is that you search and you find, I won't necessarily repeat your word, but it was harsh. what consumers want is relevance. What people are starting to expect from the devices, as well as their PCs or Macs, is that they ask a question and they get the result. What we have is the ability to understand the information that we find on the web, understand your question, and make a smart match. It's not about keyword matching, it's about concept matching. It's not just about what one review says, it's about what 1,000 reviewers said. It's about understanding that if Condé Nast sent a reviewer somewhere and he said something, that's very, very different for me as a consumer than 10 consumers saying something. I want to treat this content in a different way. I'm going to rely on one and be skeptical about the other. And taking all of that and putting it in the database and ultimately saying, this place is good for that, that for something, it's not so good for something else. And here's how to prove it, because that's going to convince the consumer. That's what we have.
And with that, we are out of time. Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you all.